Alrighty, guys, we got the thing a little bit imbalanced there. There we go. Now it's a little bit better. Now let's get right into it. This is a live video. Many of you know what the rules are, how it actually works. The way it works is really simple. We go ahead and answer Social Security disability questions, SSDi, SSI, Social Security Disability Insurance, Supplemental Security Income, the two federal disability programs. We answer questions for free. This is on behalf of Disability Resolution. So if you want to leave some stars for Disability Resolution, go to Google and type in Disability Resolution right onto Google, or Disability Resolution Law Firm or Disability Resolution Florida, and that puppy will pop up, and we love the stars. Now, remember, if you like these videos, please remember to like, please remember to subscribe. Also remember, I've done 2 hearings today. I've done, I think, over like 50 phone calls, super beat up internally. I'm super tired, had to write a brief on top of that, and it's just been a hectic day. Now, with that said, we are starting way later than usual because Sweetie is going through her surgery stuff. She is rounding up towards the continuation of her first half week being done. So we're almost done with the worst part of her surgery. As you guys know, my dog, they had to go into her back right leg, all the way down, or rather midway down the leg, cut the bone in half, rotate the whole leg. It was a whole thing. Now, with that said, I have no idea where the camera zoomed in there. I have no control over that, but here are the rules for this whole thing. Number 1, when you call in, use a fake name. Number 2, don't go into story mode. Just give me the legal question right up front. I can figure out, what questions to ask thereafter. Number 3, when it comes to this, you get about 5 to 7 minutes. Number 4, let's have fun. If you're calling to go ahead and ask me the most difficult question on earth, just realize that that's human abuse. Let's get right to it. Here we go. The first person is on the phone already. Hi, what is your fake name and what is your legal question? Go ahead.
All right. This is Michael. I looked up my disability determination explanation. I was appeared that they said I seemed to meet listing 12.10 autism on my first continuing review / second DDE decision. They said I don't meet a current listing. Can you kind of help me out exactly what does that current listing mean versus the listings back when I got first approved?
So a 12 point, okay, so did you say a 12.01 or did you say like a 12 point? Okay, so you're saying a 12.10. Yeah, okay, cool. So, okay.
12.10.
Yeah, so basically, the DDE usually goes through and specifies specifically where, the MDI section, the medically determinable impairments, what actual listing level criteria they're looking at for this particular claim. So major portions of the DDE are like, okay, cool, what listings can this person potentially fall into? Are they, are his impairments severe enough? And then they look at, okay, what about a vocational allowance? Could this person potentially go out and do work? And then they do a whole mock-up on the medical evidence. And then the medical consultant goes, I could see some limitations here. I could see some limitations there, etc. So if they said, hey, this looks like there's potential for meeting the listing level criteria here, but then later on they say, no, after full analysis, after looking at the evidence, it looks like they don't meet that. What they're really saying is that for the 12.10, they're, basically saying, and just to give people an understanding of 12.10, 12.10 breaks down. It's a very, very small listing. There's Section A, medical documentation of both of the following. So you have to meet both of these. Qualitative deficits in verbal communication, nonverbal communication, social interactions. And you got to have the second one, significantly restricted repetitive patterns of behavior, interests, or activities. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that autism has a slight quasi-bias against it when people claim it before the Social Security Administration. Autism is kind of like PTSD in the VA disability side. The PTSD people, when they apply for that on the VA side, they know they're going to get some bias against them. Same thing for autism or fibromyalgia on the civilian disability side. And the reason why is a lot of people apply for autism. And, the thing is, autism, the spectrum is massive, and people are abusing what they're claiming that they actually have it and how bad it is and things like that. But anyways, the point is 12.10 A section, you got to have both of those. And then on top of that, the big and you have to have extreme limitation of one of the following categories. There's 4 of them. Or 2 marked limitations, which just means severe limitations. The limitations.
So I had one that was marked, and then I had a second one that was, they said moderate / marked.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, so I mean, right there, they did an RFC, residual functional capacity analysis, and they said, look, this is a situation where you meet one severity, right, marked equals severe, but the other one you didn't get that, you got moderate to severe. So what they're saying is, okay, cool. As a result of that, you needed two, and you only had one, so you failed 12.10 Part B. And so that's why they're saying, okay, after looking at this thing, we don't think he falls within essentially the requirements of listing level criteria. Therefore, you don't get to have an element 3 approval and have to go on to element 4 and element 5, which is where they look at your past work and other types of jobs you could do in the national economy. That's the analysis.
When they said when they say seems to meet the listing, is that another way of saying you meet the listing or that you're close?
It depends, because I can't see your particular document, because if this was like a note from an MC where they're like, okay, well, this might be this. It seems like they're meeting this. This might be a thing where it's just like, they're leaning towards saying, hey, we should check this out. Should take a look at this. There's some potential here. If this is something where they've actually, and just real quick, Diana Fernandez, thank you for the $2 donation. I super appreciate it. It's awesome. Love the little pair. And Les Ewald, $10 donation, or Ewald. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Let's see what they had to say. Thank you for the phone help thank you for the phone help today. What time should I call back tomorrow for pointing me in the next step to take for my wife's SS disability again? Thanks for all the help. So basically tomorrow, I would say call around 2:30ish, around there, because there's a couple of 250s where they buy that 1 hour on the thingy today, or rather tomorrow. So just like 2:30ish, I would shoot for that. So good, sir. So
on my review, continuing review, they did check the box for medical / VOC allowance.
Yeah. Okay. Medical VOC allowance. Yes. So you got a vocational allowance as a result, which is the weaker type of approval, where they found that there's no job in the national economy that you could do full time. Now, when they did that, though, it's usually okay. So let me tell you like a little bottom line secret with this stuff. You have to go through the DDE, and you have to look at all the things that they said that you were crappy at, right? So you're crappy at doing this, you're crappy at doing that, you're crappy at doing this, you're crappy at doing that. And you make a list of all those items. And then every time you go to the doctor, you explain why you're bad at those things and getting worse at them. And the reason why is you have to show continuation for them to have the evidence that they originally approved you on going forward. Because when they review you with the 8-step sequential process, they're going to use those same bullet points to say, hey, is this guy the same? Is he getting better, or is he getting worse?
Well, they said basically I stayed the same. I haven't gotten better. I haven't gotten worse.
Okay. And that's okay. That's okay. But remember, you want to show a decline over time if you can, if that's what your impairments are. Remember, obviously, I don't know what your impairments are doing, but it's more helpful to them.
Communication.
Yeah.
Well, they also mentioned in there the fact I've had so many jobs. I've had like 27, 28 W-2 jobs. They say, hey, look, this guy wants to work. He's tried to work. He's failed repeatedly. There's nothing he can do. I've tried all kinds of jobs, both skilled and unskilled, both manual labor and sitting. And they said, well, this guy just can't do it. He showed us by his failures he can't do it.
Sure. I got you. So vocational allowance, you pass through element 5, which is usually the cleaver element. They said, look, you can't do any job in the national economy beyond part-time into the full-time marketplace, and therefore you receive that. But remember, go through and write down all the things that the medical doctor said that you wouldn't be good at, that you would have issues with, that you have problems with, because that's the exact same bullet point system they're going to be using when they go back and do that 8-step sequential process every so many years. All right.
So if I continue staying the same, does that mean that they'll likely continue approving me? What is the standard once I'm on disability? Do I have to prove my disability again, or do they have to say to get me off of it, he's medically improved?
So every day of your life going forward is proving that you are the same amount of disabled you were, or worse, in order to keep your benefits going in the manner that they are. If you show improvement.
Okay, so the same.
Yeah.
So the same, if you stay the same, they'll continue to not getting better, not getting worse, but staying constant. As long as you're saying I stay the same, they'll continue approving me.
Yes, but what's dangerous about the same You tell me. I'm going to ask you a tough question. Go ahead.
What's dangerous?
What is dangerous about staying the same with your impairments?
I don't know.
No. Think about it. We're live. You got to put a little effort in. Get a little bit in there. Go ahead. Think about it. What's dangerous about staying the same?
I don't know. In terms of this. I mean, I've had this all my life. I don't know what it's like without it.
Okay, so let me help you out here. If you stay the same, at some point you may have to change doctors for whatever reason, and it will be out of your control for whatever reason. And then the new doctor will say, okay, well, I'm putting you on this medication. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. We're showing slight improvement or the same. And then, basically you have to go and do this extra test. And well, we've seen some improvement based off of this prescription I prescribed, yada, yada. Or basically you stay the same. And so all of a sudden, a machine at the SSA will scan the documents coming in. It's going to catch basically that there's slight improvement. And then all of a sudden, a CDR is going to occur. They're going to use that against you. And basically, it's going to show that even though for the most part you stayed the same, there's the potential that you might have improved. And then all of a sudden, you're on a slippery slope trying to keep your benefits instead of facing losing your benefits and having to immediately go find a magical job that probably doesn't exist.
Well, and I'm slowly over time. When I got on it, I had no idea what I have. I'm now learning greatly what I have, but
Sure.
I had no clue what I had when I went on it.
Sure, absolutely. So my point here is, that is why you want to explain. And a lot of people don't actually know how to, split it up as to what's actually going on with them. So studying your impairment, studying the limitations you have, why, basically you're having a difficult time with things. And one of the big things too, and the unfair things about autism is that those who get benefits for autism rarely understand what it is that is causing them to be so limited. They can say the bullet points and basics of what they've been told throughout the years, but they don't really spend extra time studying it to the point where they can actually, start to understand a much deeper level of why their behavior reacts as a result of, some physiological thing that's causing them to do those things. But so here's the deal. I've got to go
for
to
me.
Yeah.
For me, it's a lot. It's my brain won't process the nonverbals, and because I can't process the nonverbals, I can't respond to them. If I can't understand what the supervisor wants, I can't do what they want and keep a job.
Sure, I got you. No worries. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, but here's the thing. Let me get to the next caller because I'm trying to keep these to 5 to 7
All right.
minutes.
Well, you have a good day. I hope your sweetie or your dog, whatever, heals up fast. And thanks for your time.
Absolutely, good sir. You have a wonderful, wonderful night. And thank you so much.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Bye.
Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot. We are live on YouTube. Remember to use a fake name throughout this process. What is your legal question? Go ahead.
Hi, I actually was born with a disability called dwarf pituitarism.
Okay.
And because of that, my doctors prescribed a medication that was in testing, which later on became human growth hormone.
Okay.
Which in turn caused problems with diabetes, kidney issues, cholesterol, so on and so forth.
And bone structure, yeah, for sure.
Would that count as a TERP?
Would that count as a what?
As the toxic.
Well, I think what
you're
what you're talking about is more like a medical malpractice for prescribing medication that resulted in all these things down the line. The tendency with med mal is that, when you discover it, that's essentially when the time period starts for whether or not, you can go ahead and file a claim against them because, you've told until you realize it's happened, the statute of limitations. So would you have a med mal claim? So the first thing you have to ask yourself is, this experimental drug, did you know it was experimental? Did you waive your right to any potential future harm as a result of it being experimental? Like, give me the background story in a really summarized fashion. Go ahead.
So I was 7 years old at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about 1985.
Okay.
So human growth hormones hadn't been on the market yet, and it was a testing thing.
Okay.
That later on be called human growth hormones.
Okay.
So when they took me off of them, they told me I was very likely to become diabetic because of it, and I did.
Gotcha.
And because of that, it's caused me a bunch of health issues that's preventing me from being able to work a full schedule. So I've been trying to find a way to get disability for it, and I'm going through the disability process. I'm a year and a half into it.
Have you gotten your first denial yet or no?
Yes, I got my first now.
All right. So, all right. Okay. So keep in mind, a medical malpractice lawsuit is a different standard than a disability application. A disability application lawsuit for something like this is going to be based off of an inability to go ahead and do, full-time work, which is an hour above part-time work, even though they don't say part-time work is 20 hours a week or 20 hours 20 hours a week. So the point is this: you have to show with your impairments that resulted from this that you would not be able to work, a standard job at the most simple basic levels. So what are your best arguments for providing that you wouldn't be able to work as a result of your current medical standing?
Dialysis.
Mm-hmm.
The doctors are telling me that I'm gonna have to go on dialysis pretty soon here. And once I'm on dialysis, obviously, you can't work a schedule when you got 8 hours of, doing dialysis 3 times a week.
Yeah.
But above and beyond that, I've had multiple strokes, multiple heart attacks, open heart surgery. All because of the diabetes and cholesterol issue that came from the human growth hormones.
What's going on with your immune system?
I'm not 100% sure what you're asking. Yes, I get sick usually whenever there's a change in the season.
No, I don't mean like the common cold. I mean like, is your body starting to attack itself yet?
Am I having problems with things like heart condition and muscles and stuff like that? Is that what you're asking?
So one of the things that happens in these situations is that the body's immune system starts to kind of attack itself. And, you're seeing anomalies, right? You're seeing these cardiovascular issues. You're probably seeing some muscle tingling, some, fall risk. You're just dropping things, stuff like that. What happens is, people kind of lose. So they lose it in stages, right? Because, if it's a situation where it's like your classic diabetes, right? So the person has some tingling fingers and they get some tingling feet, and then they lose their ability to use their feet well. And then all of a sudden their arms are starting to have issues. They're not walking well at all. They have eyesight problems. Is the progression. One of the other issues that happens with this stuff is that the immune system in these situations starts to attack itself. And, it's the weird way of thinking about it is that the body likes to attack cancer. But the problem is sometimes when you take a product, that product alters basically the future genetic strands of how they're going to replicate. And then the body starts to attack what it believes to be are these cancerous cells. So my question to you is, are you developing some oddities like some fibromyalgia kind of feelings and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah, I've got the neuropathy, and my right arm, which is my primary arm, I can't make a motion like I'm throwing a baseball or something because it hurts when I do that. I'm having problems with being able to stay awake. I get about 4 hours of sleep and 4 to 6 hours at most. And I have to take naps throughout the day.
So I guess what my question is, dialysis, what's the timeline on that? Like, when are you expecting to have to go and begin the process?
I am at 19% kidney function.
Ooh. So you're on special diets. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the only reason I haven't started in dialysis is because I don't have any kind of medical coverage, and I can't get any doctors, any surgeons to install the tube.
Yeah, you are a giant ball of liability. Okay. So, because where my brain is going, potential compassion allowance listing options should have been available. My brain is also going towards time off task and absenteeism, specifically for the vocational allowance. Not just with the dialysis, but other things as well.
Yeah, the last time I went to the hospital, I went to the hospital because my kidneys were, I guess, making my blood toxic, and it was causing pancreatitis.
Yeah, sure.
And I was in for a week, and they flushed me with 6 bags of saline.
So okay, and I don't want to embarrass you live here, but like, where are we at with your ability to go to the bathroom? Because this is all going to be, I mean, that's your future problem.
That's one of my problems is that if I go to Walmart to do any type of grocery shopping, not only do I have problems walking around Walmart to do the grocery shopping, I have to use the restroom literally 2 to 3 times while I'm there.
This claim should not have been denied at the initial filing, but you probably got a DDS rep that was a little bit newer to it. Maybe too aggressive a DDS manager, or maybe the MC just threw you under the bus. I'm not sure, but this should have not been denied. 19% function rate on that, and then on top of that, I mean, you're saying you had true open heart surgery?
I had a cabbage.
Huh. What resulted ultimately?
I got laid off after that, and I wasn't given the medications to improve or the tests to make sure that the cabbage did well with my heart. And for a couple of years, I wasn't getting any kind of medical help so that I could check anything.
When was the last time you worked?
Went to the hospital.
Yeah.
I worked 5 hours a week for Dunkin' Donuts last year for about 2-3 months, and then I had to quit. I just couldn't do the work.
Honestly, man, this is not a claim that should have been denied. This is a claim that should have gone through. Catch up with me tomorrow at some point, and then we can kind of talk about stuff. But this is not a claim that should have been denied. Which has my brain thinking, did he technically do something wrong? Is he filed for the wrong program? Like what's happening here? Let me think about this. I'll probably wake up with some ideas, but when you got the denial, was it a medical denial or a technical denial?
Medical denial.
Was it for both SSDi and SSI or just one of them?
Just SSDi.
What's your DLI?
I'm sorry, my what?
What's your DLI?
I don't know what the DLI is. I apologize.
Do me a favor. Call the SSA in the morning. Ask them what your date last insured is before you call me. That way we at least know that that's not going to be the problem. Also, real quick, Dev Noel, thank you for the $20 donation. That's super amazing. Awesome. I really appreciate that. That's amazing. All right. Check in with me because I'm trying to keep these like 5-7 minutes. Check in with me tomorrow. But call the SSA first. Get the DLI, date last insured. That way I know we're not running into an issue there because we're talking 5 hours a week.
Okay.
You might have a DLI issue, and I don't know what the history background is too. Do me a favor. Past 15 years, just give me some bullet points on where you've worked. Give me some bullet points on around what you earned that year. And then give the SSA a call, find out the DLI. That way I can cross off any of the technical denial stuff and we can move, work on essentially what medical direction your claim needs to be moving in.
Okay.
All right. Other than that, good sir, you have a wonderful, wonderful night, and I will catch you tomorrow. Yeah. Thank you, good sir. Have a wonderful night. I think the phone is good. Hi. This is Attorney Walter Hnot. We are live on YouTube. I think I've got the phone right. Remember to use a fake name throughout this process. What is your legal question? Go ahead.
Hi, this is Miranda Wright.
I know I'm going to get a tough question now. I can feel like my body tensed up there. I was like, oh, I'm getting a constitutional one. All right, go ahead.
They're actually easy.
Okay.
I have 3, but I know that time constraints, we might not get to them. So I'm going to try to keep it simple.
Perfect.
The first one is for one set date. I am trying to figure out whether I did it for when I ended my career or when I ended my part-time job that was steady after my career. I don't know which one I did. So if I did the wrong one set date, because I know the part-time, after watching your videos, love you, thank you for that.
Thank you, yeah.
I was over the SGA for my part-time.
Mm-hmm.
So if I listed the wrong onset date on my initial filing, is that like an automatic denial, or can they change that?
So here's the deal. Judges, when they're looking at this thing, they got to approve somewhere around 2. And then sometimes on that lucky day of the week, maybe 3 out of the 5 hearings that they have. But it's usually 2 out of the 5 get approvals, 3 get denials. So the point is, you know, and remember, they're going to always say, oh, I could approve 5 on one day. But then somewhere in there, they're going to not approve any on the next day. You know, they'll mix and match like that. So what you have to keep in mind is this. Judges will deny claims that they want to deny because of the whole record.
But
medical.
What about before the judges, though?
Oh, what about
on the initial filing? Is that an automatic denial?
No, because they can change your amended AOD. They can change it. But remember, if they're seeking an easy denial and the DDS manager's leaning on them, like they'll use things that, you know, put it in the wrong direction. But all right, what was the year that you finished or were doing that part-time job?
So the year that I finished the part-time job was 2019. The year I finished my career was 2016.
Okay, so $1,220 represents 2019, which is your SGA. So you're going over SGA. So what you got to do is you got to go find out exactly which month you earned over that SGA and which month you didn't earn over that SGA going forward. And then you have to look in the medical record and say, okay, did I have anything medically strong at this point to show that I was truly severely impaired? Because the judge needs a couple of things. He's got to show that you're not, you know, breaking the SGA issue. And then number 2, and we're talking about SSDi benefits because you were earning money, you were over SGA. And number 2, that there's medical proof either before or on that date, the month after the month you last earned SGA. So not the SGA month, but the month thereafter. Got to show there's medical proof on that month or before that basically you essentially were severely impaired. So do you have medical evidence showing you were severely impaired on the month after your last month of SGA?
Yeah, I mean, my medical history goes way before that. So there was nothing specifically on that date. But I think as a whole, you know, longitudinally, it's showing my symptoms have gotten worse and that I could not continue to work.
All right. Now, when people tell me they were getting worse, you know, when they kind of roll into me like that, what my brain is thinking, well, they must have not been bad enough. You know, they were getting worse and worse and worse. And ultimately the job had to stop. But here's the problem. Imagine a timeline in your head. You're working, you're getting worse, you're medically getting worse, you're working, then the work stops. Now your medical, like, you know, standing is at its worst right when you stop. And then when you're not working, all of a sudden it starts to creep up a little. Now that's also the time when you've got to show that you were severe, being essentially your amended alleged onset date, because you've got great severe medical evidence. But the problem is it's counter. It's built into the system to screw over the claimant, because right at that moment, you're doing the best you've ever been because you're no longer having that stress of having to work. So you got to look at your...
unfortunately.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Say again. Yeah.
Yeah, I continued to get worse and have gotten worse since then, even without work. So. Okay.
So what are the top 5 impairments?
So it would be a large amount of debilitating fatigue and pain that encompasses 80% of my body. And then the migraines that set in once a week with extreme vertigo, nausea, light and sound sensitivity. 2 more. Well, then there's also the IBS issues that strike at any moment, leaving me unable to do my job for who knows how long.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a multitude of issues. If you haven't gathered by what I said, fibromyalgia is my main claim.
I was going to say, when are you going to tell me the medical condition? But then by the end of it, I was like, she's a fibro. I got it. Yeah. So I got you. No worries. So, all right. Fibros are tough. A lot of bias against it. Judges don't like to approve it. So I'm assuming you've got all sensitivity points on record. I'm assuming the sleep cycle and the sleep study shows. Yeah.
I'm on a CPAP.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now I have some tough questions for you. These are tough questions that came up in a hearing this month. Let's see how you do on them.
Oof.
With the fibromyalgia, can you explain to me, are you able to walk more than 25 feet to be able to, basically get into a car and drive somewhere?
Okay, so unfortunately, that varies day to day depending on how my fibro is acting up and what I did the previous day. And sometimes it doesn't have anything to cause a fibro flare, but there are days that I feel like I cannot even walk to the bathroom. There were days when I could not walk up the stairs without the help of my 11-year-old son because of also having the SI joint dysfunction and piriformis muscle dysfunction. So it really varies. I cannot get a solid answer.
Who takes the child to school?
He rides the bus, thankfully.
Who buys the groceries?
And with that, like we live 30 minutes away from his middle school right now, and I had to deprive him of entering the wrestling team because they were practicing 5 days a week, and I could not be a stable parent and be there 5 days a week to pick him up 30 minutes away because I had no idea what my body's going to do.
So let me ask you this. When was the last time you were in an emergency room as a result of the pain?
So I haven't. I just deal with it. You just cry and you deal with it.
So when was the last time you went on vacation? That's way too much of a pause there. You gotta.
All right. So yeah, we did go to King's Dominion for his birthday last year in April.
I don't even know what that is, but it sounds nice. What is that?
It is an amusement park. It's a theme park. And so, unfortunately, I knew my disability and I could not go on any of the rides. So I had to sit down almost the entire time except for walking from ride to ride. But it was for his birthday and we made it through, and it was hell, but I made it through. So I'm not sure that qualifies as a vacation for myself.
So let me ask you this. How do you feel these answers would do in front of a judge?
Not great, seeing that I went to King's Dominion last year.
Well, seeing that, you had to explain to me you had good and bad days, and on good days, hey, there's a lot of opportunity there. And, basically, this is a thing where you've got an 11-year-old child and you couldn't drive him to do the thing, but something's happening. I mean, does the child have a caretaker when basically he's home, or is this a thing where you're the caretaker of the child now that you're home?
What is really sad is, unfortunately, a lot of the time, my 11-year-old has become a caretaker of mom. Okay. And that's not fair to him, but that's the situation that we have.
All right. So you got to work on some of these answers. And keep in mind with fibro, you've got to be able to, because remember, the first thing we start off with, what are your top 5 most severe impairments? And you didn't open with fibromyalgia, depression, anxiety, panic attacks, crying spells. You opened with a bunch of symptoms and then basically migraines. Oh. And, so keep in mind, what are the actual medical conditions? And the other thing is, what is the cause? Fibro comes out of nowhere. It is what it is, depression, anxiety, like the result of it. But, something that I think would have been stronger for testimony, when people have fibro and it's really bad, they are very quick to whip out the level of pain meds they actually receive from the doctors. So what is your pain medication?
So I actually stopped my stronger pain medication because I didn't like the effects that it had on me. So I am on lesser pain meds than I was initially prescribed, even though it is not as effective. But I am currently on Lyrica, Savella, and meloxicam, and then other things for all the other issues that I have,
What's the dosage? What's the dosage of Lyrica, and what's the height and weight?
Oh, see, these are answers I should have on the ready. I don't know offhand.
Okay. All right. So I mean, okay. So look, here's the thing.
Okay, it is pregabalin. Lyrica is 100 twice a day. That one I know. Sabella is also twice a day, but I can't remember the dosage.
Okay. All right. So if I were a judge and I was sitting there, the direction my brain is going to, try and understand whether this is a claim that I should approve or not. First thing my brain is thinking, okay, do the timelines match up? The fibro and then the mental impairments and things like that. So the first thing I'm going to hit you with, I'm going to hit you with some easier questions. Then I'm going to slam you with this one. When was the last time you were inpatient at a mental facility since 2019 as a result of being in so much pain due to the fibromyalgia?
So I haven't been inpatient for fibromyalgia. I have been inpatient for a suicide attempt.
So you've had Baker Acts, or were they Marchman Acts? Did you go in because but you had the suicidal ideation. It wasn't a judge that was saying you have to go in.
No, it was just law enforcement came in.
Yeah, so that's all right. So Baker Act. When was the Baker Act?
Okay, so the last time I went was 2019, but that was I didn't go inpatient. I was just in the ER. So before that, it was probably like 2014.
2014,
and then another time 2008.
Okay, so that doesn't match up well with the timeline. All right, so there's some little issues with the claim.
Yeah.
All right, now you're starting to see the way somebody who would attack the validity of your severity would start to see, okay, well, cool. If this person's really bad, they're going to have depression and anxiety. All right, if they've got depression and anxiety, where's the medical treatment showing real severity? Are they in a behavioral facility? Are they having a psychiatrist constantly swapping out pain meds? Now, I can almost guarantee that you've been using those pain meds for over 6 months, correct?
Oh, God, yeah, like 10 years.
Yeah. So then the question becomes, if you've been on these pain meds for 10 years and you haven't been swapping them out to try alternative pain medications.
No, I apologize. I have been swapping them out. It's been 10 years of me swapping them out.
Okay, cool. So the ones that you're on right now, how long have you been on them?
2 years.
Okay. So is that the magical concoction, or is there something better out there?
From what I have heard from my doctors, I am receiving the best treatment. So there is nothing better. And I just have to learn to deal with the pain as a part of my life.
Okay. How many?
And I continue to get injections, but.
Yeah, I was going there next on the injections. But with the pain meds, how many, is this the same pain doctor over the past, let's say 5 years, or is this a different pain doctor?
No, I moved locations. So he's new as of the last 3 years.
Okay. So, all right. If I were looking at this claim, trying to figure out if you're one of the 2 that I'm going to approve or 3 that I'm going to deny, right, at the end of the day, my first off thinking is, can this grid out? So give me an age that's 1 year above or below your current age. Go ahead.
36.
So I can't grid you out, right? So now we got that's an issue. What's your highest level of education?
Some college.
How many years?
2 years, just shy of an associate.
Were you ever a manager, hire and fire, do scheduling, teach other people, payrolling? Were you ever doing those tasks with your past work?
No.
Okay. What type of industry were you in?
So at first I was night audit for hotels for several years, and then I moved to social services and was a Medicaid benefit specialist.
Okay. I don't know what transferable skills they'd pull off of that. I have an idea, but this is a tougher claim for approval. This is a very uphill battle claim. You are going to need a more liberal judge to approve this claim, because if you get a middle, low, or even middle type of judge, the judge is probably going to choose somebody that they can grit out. And, you know, the other side of the coin with the fibro, I mean, when was the last time? All right. So how often do you see your pain psychiatrist / psychologist / behavioralist, one of those?
I see my psychiatrist every 6 months. I see my pain specialist every 3 months.
You know what it's going to come down to? It's going to come down to how bad is the mental as a result of the fibro. That's where this whole thing is going to be a vocational allowance, if there is one. Real quick, also, T-Paw, glad to see you there. Very, very, very cool. Okay, gotcha. Family emergency, gotcha. Let's see. Very cool. I'll totally catch up with you on Tuesday. No worries. I'm going to put you on the calendar. Excellent. All right. So let me think about this real quick. The mental. What are your, obviously depression, obviously anxiety, a schizoaffective thing going on. What else am I missing here?
I've got a mood disorder. In my younger years, I was diagnosed bipolar, but then they retracted that and just said dysthymia, a mild chronic depression. Now in my adulthood, she's just saying mood disorder. She hasn't seen me long enough. She notated in her notes she believes possibility of borderline, but I don't have the official diagnosis of that.
This is a tough claim to win. You know why? This is a bubble claim because the husband's working, paying for you to basically stay at home. Yeah.
I don't have the husband. I was lucky enough to housing assistance, and that's what makes me the bubble.
Yeah, that's
because I got housing assistance. So I am in a bubble.
All right. So I'm trying to think of how I'd win this thing.
I didn't mean to take this much of your time.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Crap. What are we at? Oh, my goodness. We're at 18 minutes. All right. I tell you what, catch up with me on another live because, you know, sometimes you got to give me a week to think through a tricky puzzle. And this one's a puzzle, you know.
Doesn't sound good for me.
You know, it's every one of these is, you don't understand. I used to, when I was growing up, I like those, you ever been to like Maine and they have these like little wood and iron little puzzles where you had to like pull a ring off of them and figure out how to like magically, you know, that kind of stuff. I was always into puzzles. I was weirdly good at chess. When I was in high school, there were kids going to MIT and Harvard and Yale and all that jazz. You know, and they were super geniuses. And I mean, I wasn't a smudgy slack myself in that regard, but you know, they were the best of the best that the human race had at that time. They were top scorers, literally perfect scorers on the exams, and I could easily beat them. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
you know.
hey.
But you know, it's just a puzzle. That's the thing, you know. And the trick thing with this puzzle is that you're not running at full speed to win this thing going uphill with a fibro. So it then becomes restriction levels for vocational allowance, but it's really the mental that gives the most potential for this particular claim, because ultimately you're pushing for time off task and inability to do skilled work and necessary repetitive. I mean, maybe that's it. Maybe you would need necessary repetitive management and or supervision at a vocational environment that would make it work preclusive. I mean, that might be this, because if the fibro causes you that much pain and you're just mentally unsound, then if we explain things in oral or written fashion to you of like what you have to do at a job workplace scenario, then maybe if you have to constantly have repetitive showing over and over and over what to do, you know, the way I would show that is you constantly show up late for stuff. You constantly fill out forms improperly. You constantly do things backwards, and you have negative consequences that result from it. I don't know. It's a puzzle. Maybe you're good at filling out forms. I don't know. But anyway, let me grab the next caller and then we'll catch up somewhere down the line, you know? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a wonderful, wonderful night. That's an interesting claim. Let me get the thingy. Here we go. And click and speaker. And hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot. We are live on YouTube. Remember to mute the computer or TV on your end. And also, remember to use a fake name throughout this process. Go ahead with your legal question. Go ahead.
Hi, my name's Bob Marley. So I had asked you before about, so the situation is last year my grandma who's on SSI, I guess she filed her taxes and the state gave her like $800 for filing her taxes, even though she doesn't have a job.
Okay.
And so my mom wanted me to file my taxes this year. And so we went to H&R Block, and the lady said that if we do it through an electronic form, then I won't need a bank account. I just have to give them my info. But if we do it through whatever other means, then I have to have a bank account. And I mean, I have my mom's bank account because she's my payee for disability. I'm on disability. I'm on SSDi. So my mom does have a job. But so my mom wants me to file tax. I'm just wondering, have you ever heard of that? Is that a good thing to do? Can I do it? Will I get in trouble?
So here's the thing. It's always wise to file taxes because you want your most recent contact information on the form, because it is, to be fair, an election year. And to be fair, in America, election year means shit show. So taking all that into consideration, if there's going to be a stimulus check, right, you want them to know where to send it. You know what? You want them to know what account to put it into. So it's smart in that regard. Now, if you have earnings, you're going to have to report them to the SSA or the IRS, or realistically, what they prefer is both. So, I mean, yeah, you should be filing if you know, and even if you have no earnings, there's nothing there. It's always good to keep a little tab and say, hey guys, I'm still alive. Here I am. Here's my stuff. And let me tell you why. Because the SSA, when they look for evidence as to whether or not somebody is potentially no longer disabled or potentially abusing a program, they look to the quick evidence that they can pull from the IRS to see essentially any oddities that are popping up, you know, any weird income, any changes of address that are odd and out of the country, stuff like that. So that's a good way to keep consistency with the IRS and then keep the SSA happy for those CDR, CDI situations.
Okay. All right. Well, I do appreciate you. That answers my question. The only other thing I want is for my dog to say hi. Say hi, baby. Go woof.
Howdy.
Woof.
There you go.
Woof.
Adorable. Oh, very cool. Very cool. I've got, yeah, you have a wonderful, wonderful night. Oh.
Me and my dog love you. Thank you, Walter.
Thank you, good sir. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. I'll catch you later. And if you do have future questions, don't be afraid to reach out, you know?
Okay.
Thank you, good sir. Bye-bye. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot. We're with Disability Resolution. We're live right now. We're going to go ahead and basically answer a question. We get about 5-7 minutes. Make sure you use a fake name throughout the process. What is your legal question? Go ahead.
I guess my name is Catherine, and I just wanted to ask a question about how to get approved, because my disability says it's been at 90%, and it's been there for 12 months or like a year and 3 months.
Yeah.
And I don't know if getting a representative would help me or not, but I wanted to see if you could help me with that.
So the big thing is the whole timeline percentage thing was being put in, you know, back to the Commissioner Saul days. Conceptually, Commissioner Kishikaze took it over to fix a lot of the, you know, how much time will it take for you to get a decision? They had problems too with it. Like literally the system said, okay, in 3 months you'll have a decision. They had to take all that crap out. It is not a reliable pizza tracker. Like if you were a pizza, it's just you cannot rely on that to know when you're, you know, when the pineapple and the pepperoni gets put on. So the point is, at the end of the day, normally, okay, so here's the thing. If you want to do it without an attorney, it's way more difficult to figure out what's happening. So if you want to do it with an attorney, you just say, hey, attorney, what's the deal? The attorney goes into the ERE, which is the system that they use and upload all your documents to, and they check through all the stuff to see what's missing, what's needed, where they're at, and then boop, you get a status update. If you want to do it without an attorney, you have to basically go call DDS and ask them for a copy of your exhibit disc. And then you have to go through it and somehow magically know what all the documents and forms are. and then figure out from that where you are in the process. But if I were to give you like a general understanding, like a macro understanding of where things go, at the initial filing level, your stuff goes to the field office. Your field office, 3 to 4 months later, sends it over to DDS. DDS then lets it sit for god awful ever. Could be sitting for 10 months, could be sitting for 12 months. And finally, they assign a rep to you, right? Once they assign a rep at DDS, right, so you're out of the developmental unit, and now you've got an assigned rep. Then they go ahead and they begin, calling you. What's your most recent medical documentation? Will you go to a CE, ME, and CR doctors? Once you go to these doctors, they basically create reports. Reports come in. Their MC medical consultant reviews the MEs, the medical experts reports, and then basically they create a DDE. The DDE then from there goes ahead and goes to the DDS manager for review. Once the DDS manager reviews it, then it's either going to go up for quality control or it's going to go straight back to the field office. If it goes up for quality control, it's going to the feds. Feds rubber stamp it, comes back and says, cool, approval, send it back to field office, then it's likely an approval. If the feds say, nope, no rubber stamp, you got to fix these items, they send it back to DDS to fix those items. Now, with that said, if it goes straight back to the field office with no quality control, that is a bad day. That is a no win.
Okay. I was looking on the website too, and what I'm diagnosed with is multiple sclerosis, and it was saying it's supposed to take like 3 months for them to make a decision, but I don't know. Obviously, I haven't seen how true that is.
So real quick, I gotta do a Ellen Seeking Truth. Thank you so much for the $8 donation. That's absolutely amazing. I can almost assure you we'll go to Sweetie's recovery / medical bills. And the vet was super kind with not doing super good on the pricing. So I was really appreciative of that. But so here's the deal. Way back in the day, like 1,000 years ago in a land far, far away, there was a world where you could get somebody found disabled, usually if they were disabled enough, within 3 to 6 months. That was like how it worked. And then basically there were union problems. The morale was shitty. People didn't want to work for the SSA. Then you bring Biden in. Then you have this unfortunate massive inflation, the shrinkflation problem. And now people can't afford to work for the government because they can't make enough money to be able to eat, even though the benefits down the line are amazing. They just can't make it to the benefits. So they're in these golden handcuffs sort of gig for those who are in it. And for those who aren't in it, they're not going to get in it. So the problem is you have this situation where at the end of the day, the SSA is like 30,000 people shy on enough employees to go ahead and work it and make it work. And then you have other issues too, right? There's other directives that are not helping, right? Because, somewhere in the mix of this, there's a lot of SSA people that have to process the SSI applications for all the new asylum seekers and refugees. Somewhere in the mix of this, right, they have to find a way to get more and more people to sign up to be DDS reps, because DDS reps, all the people that are there right now, they're doing 2 days in office, 3 days out of office, and they're at max full capacity for the portfolio of having to review files, So it's just not a bueno system right now. It's not good. So realistically, I remember talking about it's not possible under Commissioner Kijikazi. It's not going to happen that we're going to reach 16 months for an initial filing. And then now we're at like 17, 18 months. So, it is what it is, Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I didn't do anything on my end, because I remember when I first got, all this stuff started happening to me, I was in denial, and I pretty much got told that it was probably going to be ADEM or MS, and somebody had it on my file that it was ADEM instead of MS, so that
doesn't help.
Complication.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's going to be a problem or if I have to fix that. I fixed it with the company that originally told me about it.
Here's the thing. Like, when I look at these claims, the first thing I look at are the statements made on the 3373, the 3369, the supplemental forms, because a lot of claimants, they put crazy ass shit on there where I'm looking at it, I'm just like, how the hell did you just put down, that you can run a mile and then, basically walk another 300 feet without it? How do you, where do you,
Yeah.
And
of your videos.
Yeah,
paperwork.
Yeah, and and sometimes it's just mental impairment. Sometimes that's that, and then it's like, okay, cool, yeah, they can run a mile, that makes sense, and and then sometimes it's another thing. Like you get somebody with physical problems, and they're like, the way I make myself feel better with my back problems is by running a triathlon, and I'm just like, oh, you know what I mean? And I get it. Some people like riding a Harley into the sunset makes them feel better. Running a triathlon makes them feel better. Running I don't even know what the other versions are. Decathlon, or I forget what they're called. You can say I'm chubby, so I don't really do those things. But point is, I would look at the forms first to see if there's a problem. Then I would look at the medical record to see misdiagnosis, severity levels, and then I look at auxiliary evidence. What types of other evidence, other than just the regular medical, you are this because the test said that? I look at other evidence that proves that you really are that severe. Like a classic thing of other evidence is like somebody's like, I've got back problems. Okay, cool. What does the machine say? The machine says you got slip discs. Okay, what's the regular evidence that comes with that? Okay, so pain medication, and maybe some warming this or some special topical cream that or whatever to numb the area. Okay, fine. But then what's other types of evidence? Well, other types of evidence are that they're a drop risk and they ended up in the emergency room because they fell down. Or other types of evidence is like, they have a prescribed to them, a walker with a seat because they got to sit down wherever they go, So I'd look at kind of that stuff. And then I'd gauge it based off the rules, right? What's their education? How old are they? Stuff like that. Like how much dirt am I going to have to dig to basically, make a little pile of why they should approve this thing versus am I just digging a hole and I'm not going to be able to go ahead and make this thing actually look like the claim they want to approve? Because, what a lot of people don't realize is that the Commissioner Saul made some massive changes with the bin system, right? Are you under 50? Are you above 50? Are you over 55? Are you over 60? And that bin system has really aggressively restricted attorneys from taking claimants under 50. Most law firms in the disability field will not take claimants under 50. And most disability law firms at this point won't even take any SSI claimants. So I'd have to see the file. What some people do with that situation is they hire me for an hour just to like look through the whole thing. Like they'll go get their exhibit disc and hire me for an hour, or they'll basically hire me on to win the claim. But the main thing you've got to do is make a list of all the things that you think are going wrong. And then usually only 10% of those are relevant to the claim, but those 10% are usually claim killers. So they have to be fixed.
Okay.
So yeah, super fun. Excellent. Yeah. Have a wonderful night. I know it's like, but have a wonderful night and work on that. And then you can always catch up with me down the line, but make that list of what you're worried about, because then you can work the list. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot. Remember to mute your computer or TV on your side. Remember to use a fake name throughout this process. You get about 5 to 7 minutes. What is your legal question? Go ahead.
Okay, so here it is. My local post office that I have all my Social Security stuff sent to has been misdelivering and putting other people's names and like mail in my P.O. box. I've had it there for about 10 years.
Okay.
Since the government had laid off workers, they no longer have a manager of the P.O. box section. So in other words, I'm always in fear of them possibly putting, like, I've been on SSDi currently for 30 some years. And I'm always concerned when you never know when you're going to get the random reviews. What if they put my random mail from Social Security in someone else's mailbox because they've been putting other people's important stuff in mine? I've called Consumer Affairs. I've done almost everything I think of. I've called the Postmaster General. It's kind of been poo-poo on getting results with that. So I don't know what else to do. And one side note is I deliberately don't do things online because I found my social on the dark web. So I deliberately have it set up with Social Security that I never have done things online with my stuff, and I never will. And if anything needed to be changed, I have it set up. I'd have to come down in person. So, like if you ever miss your paperwork being sent in by such and such time, the paperwork you never know when you're going to get. Mm-hmm. And then if you don't send that back, doesn't matter how many years that you've been on it, you'll get taken off it, and then you'll have to start over from scratch while not getting an income at that time. So what else can I do to, if they make a mistake, I need something documented. I don't know what else to do, because if something ever happens and you say, well, we sent you something, but I actually didn't get it because the workers are not putting the mail properly in the P.O. boxes again, because since government cutbacks, there's no longer currently and no longer will be.
Yeah, that was waiting for that.
Box
Yeah.
manager. Yeah.
So real
There
quick,
no longer will be. All they have is a regular supervisor over the post office, whereas before they used to have the regular supervisor over the post office and a separate manager that always overlooked the P.O. box workers.
so I just want to.
I don't know what to do. I'm always fearing.
Yeah, I just want to thank some of the people who donated real quick. Nicole donated $2, which is absolutely amazing. Super duper thank you, Nicole. And I see SLB veteran as well. Big donation, $20, which is amazing. He said, I feel it for you. Doing live chats can be exhausting. Super exhausting. I was literally up until 2:30 last night grabbing mail. 2 of the employees at the firm have COVID right now. So like I was mailing, I was scanning and doing all that. I was doing it like people on the phone could just hear me processing letters and processing paperwork for like 3 hours. But Diana Fernandez, thank you for the $2 donation. That's awesome. Very, very cool. So when it comes to USPS, my query to you is, and I know why you do it. I get it, because that's supposed to be your little mail vault. But why don't you have it delivered to some other location?
Yeah, I was just thinking of that, and I was going to ask you too, which one would be more reliable? Because I had the same problem with my home addresses, which is why almost 10 years ago I got the P.O. box. We get constant substitute mail carriers. Where's and does it vary by state? Because where is a trustable place that you know that you can suggest to get my mail sent to? I don't have no certain like family or friends that I can get it sent to their house.
So the first thing I guess I would do is I would send in an SSA 795, which is a statement of claimant form, SSA 795, and I would put down like 3 addresses on there of where acceptable places to actually mail would go to, because they can put down multiple addresses in their system. I would also put down an acceptable fax number that they can go ahead and fax things to, because a lot of the time people can't email things over the servers, but they can fax things. So I would immediately have a fax number, whether it's a fax program you pay $10 a month to have on your phone or whatever, but I would have that. That gives you basically 4 locations that they can deliver things to in case there's a problem. But yeah, I would do that. I'd have 3 locations. I'd have a fax number. I'd give them permission to go ahead in the 795 to go ahead and fax over documents to you when available, yada, yada. But I would do that. If you're worried about getting it, make your P.O. box one of them. But, remember, it's USPS. We all love them. They're all darlings, but it is an election year. So, mail's going to go missing. Yeah.
And I do have one other question. I want to know if you think this if this legally would apply. So what I was going to do is when I called the USPS and made like a case number about this when it happened. So what I was thinking of doing is rewriting and having somebody help me rewrite an email, because I have a lot of problems holding stuff with cramping in my hand. So I was going to have somebody help me with the email, use that same case number, resend a copy of that email to Consumer Affairs, the person I was working with there, and the USPS customer service, and asking them if they could keep this permanently, this case number like permanently on file. Because when you make a case number, they keep it open for such and such a certain amount of time, and then they close the case number. Like, as if everything's been fixed, even if it hasn't. So legally, would something like that work too? Where if I ask, well, first of all, can they, by my request, like hold something permanently on my record? I'm talking about the USPS by my request to Consumer Affairs or the USPS customer service themselves.
I mean, I don't know.
If this ever happens.
Yeah,
if this ever happens, you kind of get my train of thought where I'm thinking, Social Security ever did that, I'd be like, well, look, I got this documented. I've been having this issue with them for a while. Do you know legally if I could do something like that? And legal with Social Security, legally with them, would that like work as proof? You probably might not have ever thought of that. I would have never thought of that either had I not been going through this.
Red flag USPS so that you have it as a backup to claim non-receipt. I don't know.
You know,
what
like just an email on file with my case number. So if that ever happens, I could say, okay, here's a case number. Here's a situation I've been dealing with for a while now with them, more than once, so that, you know, here, if I randomly don't get a letter whenever for review and I miss that time slot, I want to be able. So that's what I was thinking too. It's all got to be like documented, you know, like even if I get like separate places for mail, you know, which I could, but I'm just wondering, that was the main reason I called on, even though I rattled all this other stuff, is if I did that legally, would Social Security be able to look at that as, okay, yeah, I see that you had this documented, so, you know, like, we'll let this, I don't want to say slide, but, you know, whatever the legal term is, that they wouldn't be able to just say, oh, you just didn't mail something back within a certain amount of days needed because we see you had this situation going. Would Social Security legally accept that as a
oh yeah, they have to consider all available
myself?
evidence. Yeah, they have to consider all available evidence. But you got to remember too, like the number one thing, you just have to call the SSA and ask them, what is your, you know, amount of years wait time for each CDR that you're going to have, because this is only relevant, you know, for really important, they're going to remove my benefit stuff for a CDR. So if you know you're going to have a CDR every 2 years or well, every 3 years or 5 years or 7 years or whatever, you can just anticipate and keep in contact with them and ask them what's going on, you know?
Yeah, I'll do that. Okay. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. You have a wonderful, wonderful night.
And say hi to Sweetie. I hope she's doing good, and your other dogs too. I don't remember their name, but
Will do.
Okay, but thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, guys. So there is one caller that I have to find on here. He's got a 970 type number. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I am hoping that his name doesn't pop up on here, because then I will never really be able to find it. Unless, let's see. It's not this one. Let me see. I'm trying to find it. Wow, there are an amazingly large amount of callers missed here. So so real quick, just real quick. Specifically, I did tell somebody to call me tonight. That person is, where's the thingy? Hold on, it's gonna pop up. It's gonna pop up. Nope, it's not gonna pop up. Hold on, let me scroll down again. Okay, not there, not there, not there. I don't know if it lets me scroll all the way up now. I don't know. There was, it's not letting me scroll all the way up. I can't scroll all the way up. I can't even see it. Yeah, it won't let me scroll all the way up. I'm like, I'm stuck. It won't. All right. So all right, I'm just going to take one more call. If I missed you, call me tomorrow and we'll catch up from there. And then remember, put all of your questions at the bottom of the chat. I'm going to be answering them after this call. It's the final call right here. All righty. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot. We are live on YouTube. Remember to go ahead and mute the computer on your end. Also, we get about 5 to 7 minutes to answer a legal question. Use a fake name throughout this process. What is your legal question? Go ahead.
Hi, Attorney Walter.
Howdy.
Hi, this is David. We spoke before. You told me to call back tonight.
Okay, perfect.
My question has to do with something I heard you say in a previous live about I'm a homeowner.
Okay.
And I don't have any income. I'm currently applying for disability type 2 and type 16.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a family member that's helping me with my mortgage payment. And I'm wondering about if I need some sort of letter and what type of verbiage it would need to say, stating that, you know, I will be expected to pay these funds back so that I won't be withheld any funds that.
Email me tomorrow, but don't email me before 9, because I usually email me like later in the day, like I don't know, like 2-ish, 3-ish p.m. And I'll send you the loan agreement that I created that they use that falls within all the statute requirements.
Oh, God bless you.
Yeah, absolutely. No worries.
What a fantastic human being you are.
Yeah, sure.
And thank you for taking care of that dog for us.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Sweetie's right over here. She's going to get medication again in about an hour. And then basically shadows on the green screen where he always goes. He just sleeps on it because it's big and poofy. But yeah, good sir, indeed. Just shoot me an email tomorrow. I'll shoot it over, and then just read through. If you have any questions, you can always reach back out to me. Yeah.
Thank you so much. You
Yeah.
have a wonderful night, and God bless you.
You as well, good sir. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you. So here's the deal. That was the last question. Now I'm going to scroll all the way down to the very bottom of the chat. Let me see what the questions are. Okay, so Joshua Wimmer said, "Hey, what's up, Walter? My question is, I recently got on SSDi and I have received 2 payments, one on December 15th and the other was on January 11th. Now it's February 15th. And so I'm guessing you're wondering, you probably didn't get your check, etc. Or what could have happened is your first checks could have come in one way and then you specified a different way to receive them and they're taking longer to go ahead and come in. So what is the question though? Like it's the 15th. I'm assuming you just haven't gotten the check yet. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where you have to check on. I would say tomorrow, give them a call just to see what's going on. If it's a direct express, call the number on the back of the card, see what's going on. And then that's kind of I'd go with that direction. He update. I have been told I should be paid on the 3rd Wednesday, which would be next week. Okay, so then I mean, if that's when the payment's going to be made, that's fine. Let's see, Amanda Moss, the phone number, but that was that last call. That was the last call right there. But the phone number, just so you know, for next week. And I want to apologize to everybody when it comes to when it comes to Facebook. I was not live on Facebook on Tuesday. I was taking care of Sweetie, and I totally slipped. And here's why I haven't been super on top of everything like I normally am. When I take Sweetie out, she is one of those dogs that's like a party girl, and nobody's going to tell her how to live her life. So she will walk whichever direction she wants to, and they'll try and move her this way, move her that way. But anyway, the point is she will walk in all the places I don't want her to go because she just wants to go walk there, here, whatever. And I try and move her and try and do this. But anyway, the point is I then have to pick up this 90-pound dog and walk her 200 feet back to the damn door. So the thing is, I've had to pick her up every single time I've had to take her out. And on average, I take her out about 10 times throughout the day. So my back is killing me from picking up Miss Piggy, and she's adorable, but she even has like a little thing now. Like she's got a little, oh, look at that. Cincinnati Fireball, member, appreciation, full Sweetie update. So here's the deal. Sweetie has learned how to remove the plastic cone. So what she does is she does a hippo maneuver. She lays on her back and then gets on her side, and then she wiggles her head by pulling it at the little tip of it against the carpet so that it digs into the carpet, and then she pulls her head out of it. And that's even with a piece of gauze around it because it has these loopholes on the neck area. And I kind of tightened it, but she still gets it off. So now Sweetie has basically a blue foldable, soft, whatever cone around her head because she can't get that one off. The other thing Sweetie's been doing is trying to Houdini herself outside. So now she's trying to basically run through things. And that's the other thing too. Sweetie has knocked down 2 fences that were put up. She's learned that if she puts her paw on it, she can drag it and then sometimes pull it enough so that it just, dismantles it away from the wall enough to actually get through it. So we've caught Sweetie a few times in the kitchen, basically just laying on the treat bags, which, is what it is. She's always been a kitchen kind of girl. She's a foodie. Some of these women out there, they love going to eat, and they love their treats. And she is one of those snuggle puffs. She's just adorable. So her favorite room has always been the kitchen. What else? Let's see. Next question over here. Let's see what we got. Let's see. I'm just trying to. Okay, I'm legally blind to currently receive SSDi and RCI 1,000 a month together. Do I qualify for SSI? Well, technically, if you went on SSI, you would just get $1,000, but you would get basically very crappy rules that went with it. So you really wouldn't want to go on SSI because there's all these income limitations. Unless you owe child support, then you'd want to go on SSI. Is it mandatory to get a lawyer when filing for disability? No, you don't have to get a lawyer when filing for disability. But to be fair, like the people who know how complex the program is, the people like to not pay 25% to an attorney to just, basically put the pieces together, give you the forms early, get the whole thing expedited, moving in the right direction, make sure you don't miss motions, make sure that they're keeping all the documents on file. Like 25% of your back pay is not it's not enough. It's the bottom line is it's not enough money. This industry is being destroyed as a result of the attorneys not getting paid enough. So if it's a money thing, the attorneys don't get paid enough as it is. So that shouldn't be the argument. But most people get an attorney at this point because it's become more and more difficult to get benefits. So the percentage of individuals has definitely gone up that I've noticed, but I'm not sure what the general statistic is. And of course, when you get an attorney, it's, their statistics show you're 3 times more likely to get approved. But can you get your SSDi garnished by civil small claims court? Yeah, they can go after that. Yep, absolutely. Alimony, child support, all that jazz. They can take it. Yes, I'm hoping Sweetie, Foxy Dog, Itchy Paws, I'm hoping Sweetie has an amazing recovery. So far, no infections on the site of the surgery. So far, no pulling out of the skin by the surgery. Still swelling, but she's getting there. Let's see what we got. Can you get your SSDi garnished? Yes. Okay, cool. Let me scroll down a little bit. Let's see. If approved, is there a way that I can legally transfer funds to my son's Roth IRA so he has resources as he grows? I mean, yeah, you can always transfer funds. You just have to see, like, if you're on SSI, you have to see which program you're on. Are you retirement? Are you survivors? Are you, traditional disability SSDi? Are you supplemental security income? Are you disabled low child benefits? Because, how you move the money is going to be important based off of what type of program you're on. Let's see. Sweetie is doing much better. She's slowly getting better. I was worried that she wasn't like going to the bathroom in that one particular way, but on day 4 she actually did, which was really good. Other than that, I will catch you guys a little bit later. I'm going to be doing one more video after this, but you got to give me about 5 to 10 minutes to go ahead and take a little relax. These sessions are actually really tough because you have to keep the energy up. And basically, you have to take call after call. It's like rapid fire calls. So you've just got to be on top of basically your game for all these. And the other thing, too, just to be fair, I don't know of any other attorney that takes live questions like this where they basically don't have somebody who is like filtering the calls ahead of time. Like, just so you guys understand, there's no filter, which you probably understand because the phone rings and I have to keep clicking it off. But there's no filter. I click this thing on. Whoever calls in, they can ask me whatever question they want, and they're live across the world on speakerphone into this microphone, and that's it. Not high tech at all, but also very scary because somebody could call in with a ridiculously tough question. There's just no way I could hit it. So, but sometimes we get that. Sometimes it happens. Anyways, I will catch you guys a little bit later. I will see you in about 5 to 10 minutes. The next video is really cool. It's actually, what do disability judges hate the most? It's funny. I was in a hearing and the claimant asked me afterwards, they're like, why did you do this? Or why did you do that? I was like, well, did you hear that the judge grunted and made that sound when I asked that particular question? And the claimant was like, yeah. And I was like, well, that means this. And that's the thing is that, we interact with these judges all the time. So we know what their emotional context is when they make a bodily gesture or they make a sound. We know which way to go to make sure it stays on track so that the claim has a higher likelihood of being approved. But anyways, guys, I will catch you a little bit later. You have a wonderful night. Give me about like 10 minutes-ish, and we will go from there. See you all at the next video, and I'll go ahead and post it, and I'll come back like 10-ish, 15 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. We'll go from there. All right, have fun, and I'll catch you from there. Thanks so much. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.